There's a curious paradox within us. It's so easy to believe in others, yet so hard to believe in ourselves. Even knowing your own potential, the mind finds 1,000 ways to sabotage you. It repeats old stories, revives ancient fears, and convinces you it's safer to doubt than to try. But there's something no criticism, rejection, or failure can destroy: your inner strength. An invisible fortress, silent, unshakable, that may sleep but never disappears. The problem is, most people seek confidence by looking outward, at opinions, achievements, or others' approval. But true self-confidence doesn't come from validation, it comes from action. It begins when you trust your decisions more than your results. When you choose to act, even with fear, something shifts. Your mind starts to understand. You are capable, not because everything went well, but because you had the courage to try. The Stoics called this inner mastery. They knew confidence isn't a gift, it's training, and real strength arises when you realize it's not what happens to you that matters, it's what you do with it. Today, I'll show you how to rebuild that confidence, not with empty slogans, but with practical, profound Stoic practices that restore your inner power. And if you're ready to begin now, write in the comments, "Today, I choose to believe in myself." Because every transformation begins with a decision, and yours starts here. Before we begin, I only ask you 2 things. Like this video and subscribe to the channel. Now, let's begin together. Lesson 1. Believe again in your inner strength. There is something inside you that does not break. Even when everything seems to collapse, even when your body weakens and your mind doubts, there remains a silent center, an unextinguished flame, buried under ashes for a time, but never gone. The Stoics called this inner strength, a space no one can invade, where your will and reason still reign, even in chaos. But sometimes you forget it exists. You forget it on days when exhaustion outweighs faith, in moments when fear whispers, "It's better to surrender." Yet if you look closely, you'll see. You've been here before. You've already crossed pain you thought was impossible. You've survived falls that felt final, and you endured them all. So ask yourself, what carried you through last time? It wasn't luck or chance. It was that invisible, quiet force, the one that pushes you forward when nothing else works. It makes no noise, but it has the consistency of steel and the calm of solid ground. The world may push you, circumstances may shake you, but nothing can knock you down as long as that strength stays awake. Because it doesn't depend on what happens outside, it's born from what you choose within. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A man's strength is proportional to his ability to maintain control over his own mind," and that's exactly it, regaining control. Not over fate, but over your attitude toward it. True confidence isn't shouting, "I can." It's standing in silence after the storm and saying, "I've been here before, and I'm still standing." With every challenge, that strength grows. With every pain faced, it hardens. And if you pause to listen, you'll realize what seemed like weakness was just the gap between one fall and your next rebirth. Write in the comments, "My strength is greater than what happens to me." Because your inner strength isn't something you need to create. It's something you need to remember. It's always been there, waiting for the moment to rebuild you from within. Lesson 2. Force yourself to be present. We live as if time were our enemy. The mind races toward the future, the heart clings to the past, and the present gets lost somewhere in between. But life only truly happens now. The Stoics called this full attention to reason, the art of being whole in each moment, as if it were the only one that existed. Marcus Aurelius left us one of the most powerful phrases on this subject. Concentrate on each minute, as a Roman, as a human being, doing what's in front of you with seriousness, precision, tenderness, will, and justice. He didn't speak of perfection, he spoke of presence. Because a distracted mind is the cradle of almost all suffering. How many times have you been physically present, but mentally elsewhere? Replaying past conversations, anticipating scenarios that may never happen, trying to control what cannot be controlled. Without realizing it, you stop living the now, the only time that truly exists. Presence requires courage. The courage to stop running, to feel what you feel, to accept what is. Because the present is simple, but the mind complicates it. It wants to return to what's past, or rush into what hasn't arrived. And in that oscillation, anxiety, fatigue, and emptiness are born. But presence is an act of power. It says, I am here. I no longer flee from life. It's the mind returning to the body returning to the moment, and the moment finally beginning to breathe again. Think about it. Every time you fully commit to a moment, to a conversation, a breath, a sunset, time slows. When you stop being a spectator, you gain the power to be part of the scene. Marcus Aurelius also said, "The man who lives in harmony with the present moment lives in harmony with the universe." That's the essence of presence, not controlling time, but flowing with it. So the next time you notice your mind wandering, breathe deeply and ask, what is happening right now? This simple question is like an anchor, pulling you back to reality, to your center. And if you want to go deeper, write in the comments. Today, I return to the present, because life isn't found in what's behind or ahead. It's here, waiting for the instant you finally decide to be present. Lesson 3. Rebuild your inner world. Everything outside you is merely a reflection of what you build within. No external change is real if it doesn't begin in the soul. You might have new opportunities, open doors, people willing to support you, but if your inner world is full of insecurity, you'll see threat where there is possibility, fear where there is a path, and doubt where there is opportunity. The human mind is a mirror. It reflects what it holds. If the mirror is fogged, the world appears distorted. But when you clean it, when you organize your thoughts, heal your memories, and align your intentions, reality changes shape before your eyes. The Stoics called this inner mastery, the art of governing your own world before trying to fix anyone else's. Because whoever fails to build a sanctuary within themselves lives at the mercy of every outer storm. Consider this: insecurity, fear, comparison. These are walls built by your own mind. What binds you isn't what you lack, it's what you keep repeating. Old thoughts, old beliefs, old patterns. They form a labyrinth where you walk in circles, believing you're lost, when really, you've just forgotten the exit. Epictetus said, "No man is free until he masters himself." And that freedom isn't born from strength, it's born from awareness. It's the moment you realize, all that imprisons me is happening inside my own head, and I hold the key. Rebuilding your inner world means changing the tone of your self-talk. Replace "I can't" with "I'm still learning." Stop letting insecurity be the main narrator, and start making it a background character. Begin to plant thoughts that support the version of you that you want to become. Think of your mind as a garden. You can let it grow wild, full of weeds of fear, doubt, and guilt. Or you can cultivate it with purpose, watering it with presence, patience, and discipline. What blooms depends entirely on your choice, and the more you clear the inner terrain, the more your outer life begins to respond. The law is simple. The world changes when your way of seeing changes. Your internal voice doesn't describe reality, it creates it. And the more conscious you are of that voice, the more you question it, guide it, and re-educate it, the more your life transforms. Rebuilding your inner world isn't about erasing the past. It's about turning it into wisdom. It's not denying pain. It's building something beautiful from it. It's remembering daily that the power to begin again was never taken from you. Write in the comments, "My world changes when I change from within." Because the greatest revolution is silent. It happens in secret, in the mind, until one day, the whole world realizes you've been reborn. Lesson 4. Force yourself to be disciplined. No lasting change stands without discipline. You can dream, plan, make lists, watch motivational videos, but none of it replaces the quiet act of continuing even when motivation fades. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you can become. It's the foundation where dreams stop being ideas and become structure. In 1 year, your relationships could be different, your bank account, your body, your mind, but only if you have the courage to act when no one is watching. At the beginning, it's easy to be motivated. Harder is persisting on neutral days, those when nothing happens, when your mind tries to convince you to stop. But it's precisely on those days that the future is decided. The Stoics called this the power of logos, the capacity to act according to reason, not impulse. Epictetus said, "No man is free unless he is master of himself." And that's the essence of discipline. It's not rigidity, it's freedom, because whoever fails to master themselves lives enslaved by their emotional swings. Think of an archer in a storm. He doesn't wait for the wind to stop before shooting. He trains until his movement becomes firm, even in chaos. Discipline does the same for the mind. It creates stability when everything around you tries to throw you off course. You don't need to feel motivated every day. You only need to honor what you promised. And when you repeat this enough, effort becomes habit, habit becomes character, and character becomes destiny. Seneca wrote, "Life is like a play. What matters is not how long it lasts, but how well it's performed." Discipline shapes that performance. It molds the person you're becoming, choice by choice, scene by scene. Even if you see no results yet, continue. Even if progress feels slow, continue. Even if no one understands, continue. Discipline has the quiet power to turn the invisible into the inevitable. There will be days when your mind says, "I can't." Respond calmly, "Maybe not yet, but I will keep going." That's the voice of maturity. That's the sound of rebuilding. It's the exact moment you stop waiting for miracles and start becoming one. So write in the comments, "I choose discipline, even when I have no desire." Because the freedom you seek doesn't begin when everything is easy. It begins when you decide to stay faithful to what must be done, even when the whole world tries to stop you. Lesson 5. Use gratitude. A mind that complains doesn't realize it's digging its own grave. Every complaint is a shovel. Every criticism adds another layer of darkness. And without noticing, you bury yourself alive beneath your own words. The Stoics called this disharmony with nature, when thought drifts from reason and obsesses over lack. But lack is only half the truth. The other half, what you already have, is often forgotten. Ralph Waldo Emerson called it the law of compensation. Whatever you feed within yourself returns multiplied, not as punishment or reward, but as a natural consequence of the mental and moral energy you cultivate. Whoever speaks of scarcity lives scarcity. Whoever clings to lack repeats it. But whoever chooses gratitude changes the vibration of their mind, and where the mind changes, life changes too. Gratitude isn't about denying pain, it's about moving through it with dignity. It's looking at the chaos and saying, even here, there is something worth valuing, even if it's just the fact that you're breathing. Gratitude doesn't blind you, it clarifies you. It restores balance to what once felt unbearable. It shifts focus from what you lack to what sustains you. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. Nothing outside changes, but suddenly you can see where you're stepping. Dissatisfaction, on the other hand, is a prison with invisible bars. You start wanting to improve what you have, but end up forgetting how far you've come. And the cycle repeats. The more you complain, the darker the room becomes. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you wake, remember the privilege of being alive, to breathe, think, feel, and love. This phrase isn't poetry, it's a survival manual for the soul. The simple act of gratitude reorganizes your thoughts and returns control over your inner state. So before this video ends, thank silently for anything, no matter how small or ordinary. And if you can, repeat it before bed, upon waking, and before any negative thought arises. Because a grateful mind is like an open window. Air returns, light returns. Gratitude is training in presence. And whoever trains their gaze to see what they have, gains the strength to pursue what they desire, without desperation, without comparison, without fear. So write in the comments, I choose to be grateful, because life responds to the tone of your consciousness. And when yours vibrates with gratitude, everything dormant within you begins to slowly bloom. Lesson 6. Have the courage to not retreat. Courage isn't loud, it's a silent decision. It's the moment you feel fear knocking at your door, and instead of opening it wide, you take one step forward in the right direction. It's not about feeling invincible. It's about refusing to betray yourself when the path narrows. Fear always tries to negotiate your retreat. It promises comfort. It delays commitments. It paints the worst-case scenario. But courage sees that negotiation and keeps walking. One more step, then another. That's how invisible bridges appear beneath your feet. Bridges that only form for those who keep moving. The Stoics knew the mind fabricates giants. Seneca reminded us, difficulties strengthen the mind, just as labor strengthens the body. With every resistance overcome, you gain invisible fibers, unseen but strong, that hold you steady when everything trembles. Marcus Aurelius reinforced, do not let the future disturb you. You will face it, if necessary, with the same reasoning that helps you today against the present. In other words, you don't need guarantees to move. You only need the same clarity that brought you this far. Think of a climber at night. The mountain is the same, but darkness distorts it. What keeps him moving isn't the absence of fear, it's fidelity to the next secure grip. One rock, then another, then one more. Life works the same way. When you keep your footing, the path reveals itself, in proportion to your courage. To avoid retreating, practice 3 simple movements. First, name the fear. Speak the truth. I'm afraid of failing, of losing, of being judged. Fear loses half its power when it's exposed to light. Second, choose the next step. 5 minutes of action are worth more than 5 hours of anticipation. Do the smallest thing that keeps you moving, even if it's tiny. Third, honor micro-commitments. Finish what you started today, even if it's small. Each promise kept strengthens your self-trust. Each broken promise teaches you to retreat. Courage is consistency, staying who you chose to be, even when the world pushes you backward. And over time, something changes inside. Fear still speaks, but it no longer decides. You look back and see a trail of small advances. Together, they became a journey. So write in the comments, today I advance, I do not retreat, because life doesn't demand that you win all at once. It demands that you remain, and whoever remains, arrives. Lesson 7. Face the pain. Pain is the teacher no one wants, but everyone needs. It arrives without asking permission. It disrupts plans, breaks rhythm, and forces you to look inward. There is no escape, and the harder you try to avoid it, the deeper it settles into the cracks of your mind. Seneca said, it's better to conquer pain than to deceive it, and that means facing it directly, no disguises, no distractions, no emotional anesthesia, because ignored pain doesn't vanish. It mutates. It becomes irritation, apathy, fear. But when you meet it with clarity, it transforms into wisdom. Pain has a purpose. It reveals where you still lack structure. It shows the exact point where something within you needs to mature. It's not punishment, it's refinement. Suffering is the fire that purifies the metal of the soul. The Stoics understood, we don't control what happens, but we can control how we walk through it. And that how makes all the difference between breaking and growing stronger. Think of a wound. If you cover it too soon, it festers. But if you have the courage to clean it, even though it burns, the body heals. The soul is the same. It needs exposure to truth, contact with reality, space to scar over. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The obstacle to action advances action. What blocks the path becomes the path." Pain isn't the end of the road. It's the steepest stretch, the one that builds the inner muscles comfort could never give. You don't need to love pain, but you must respect it, because it restores perspective. It reminds you of what's essential. And when you accept its role, something shifts. What once felt like weight becomes learning. What once felt like a wound becomes strength. Pain is the bridge between who you were and who you're becoming. On the other side, there's a version of you who is calmer, clearer, and more complete. So breathe and say in silence, "I don't run from pain, I walk through it." Because whoever has the courage to feel has the courage to grow. And whoever walks through pain with awareness never returns the same. They return stronger, calmer, finally free. Lesson 8. Organize your mind to think clearly. Disorganization is a subtle form of self-sabotage. It's not just cluttered drawers or papers. It's disordered thoughts, excess noise, unfinished ideas that weigh on you and paralyze you. Without realizing it, you start stumbling over obstacles created by your own chaos. The Stoics taught, an unorganized mind is a minefield. Every distraction is an obstacle. Every scattered thought is a potential explosion. When your inner world is in disorder, your outer world answers with the same turmoil. Nothing flows, nothing fits, nothing thrives. Ask yourself, how many opportunities have you missed because you weren't prepared? A project that never left paper, a crucial conversation delayed, a chance that slipped by because your attention was too scattered to catch it. Life offers paths, but clarity is what allows you to recognize them. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul takes on the color of its thoughts, and if your thoughts live in chaos, your soul confuses itself with the noise. But when you start organizing them, something magical happens. The world seems less hostile. Decisions become simpler. Time regains shape. Organizing your mind isn't about controlling everything. It's about choosing what deserves space. It's selecting thoughts that build, not ones that consume. It's cleaning your inner terrain, because where there's order, energy flows. Reserve a moment each day to listen to yourself. Write down what you need to release. Close mental tabs that no longer serve you. Simplify what's become too complex. Progress is impossible when the mind is filled with noise. Think of your mind as a temple. Every thought that enters is an offering, and you get to decide whether you bring flowers or garbage. The inner environment you create determines the kind of life you live. Clarity is a form of peace, and peace isn't the absence of problems, it's the space to see solutions. So the next time you feel chaos approaching, breathe deeply and repeat, "I organize within," to transform the outside. Because confusion is costly. It steals energy, focus, and opportunities. But an organized mind is a lighthouse. It illuminates what matters, and the rest simply stops weighing you down. Lesson 9. The magic of beginnings. Every transformation begins in a silent instant, the moment you decide to do things differently. It might seem small, waking up earlier, breathing before reacting, putting your phone away, thanking instead of complaining. But it's in these nearly invisible gestures that destiny begins to reorganize. The way you start your day sets the tone for your mind. The way you end your night shapes the peace that carries you as you sleep. The Stoics knew this and treated beginnings as sacred rituals. When Marcus Aurelius woke, he would write, "When you rise, think of the privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, think, feel, and love." He didn't see dawn as routine, he saw it as rebirth. The beginning is an opportunity to restart the soul, to clear the excess, realign your intentions, and choose who you want to be in this new cycle, whether it's a day, a month, or a lifetime. Many lose the power of beginnings because they wake on autopilot. They rise carrying yesterday, sleep fearing tomorrow. But the true beginning demands presence. It demands you greet the now with reverence, as if holding something fragile and sacred in your hands. So before you dive into the world's noise, breathe. Feel the lightness of morning. Do something that brings you back to center. Read a line, meditate, tidy your space, or simply give thanks. That's not wasted time. It's time built. Because the way you start your day determines what the day will do with you. And when night comes, slow down. Turn off screens. Silence the noise. Open the silence. Review your day. Learn from what hurt. Acknowledge what grew. Rest is the first step, and every small gesture of presence plants a seed for the person you're becoming. Lesson 10. Accept that you are enough. You don't need to earn your place in the world. You don't need to prove your worth through success, recognition, or sacrifice. You are already enough, simply because you exist. Yet we spend our lives chasing validation as if our value were a currency traded on the stock market of others' opinions. But self-worth isn't earned. It's inherent. It's not something you gain when praised, nor lose when criticized. It's not tied to your productivity, appearance, or achievements. Your value lies in your humanity, in your capacity to grow, learn, feel, and care. Seneca said, "The man who trusts himself does not depend on the opinion of others." And that's the key. When you stop outsourcing your self-worth, when you stop measuring yourself by applause, you reclaim your sovereignty. You become someone who acts from integrity, not for performance. You speak your truth, even if your voice shakes. You set boundaries, even if it disappoints. You stand firm, even if you stand alone. Because your worth doesn't require an audience. It only requires you, honest, present, and whole. So write in the comments, "I am enough, just as I am." Repeat it like a mantra. Let it echo in your bones. Because the more you affirm this, the less you need to hide, please, or pretend. You stop seeking permission to exist and start honoring your right to be. Lesson 11. Stop waiting for motivation. Start with discipline. Motivation is unreliable. Some days you wake inspired, others you barely find the will to rise. But discipline, that's solid, predictable, unmoved by circumstance. Waiting for motivation is like waiting for the perfect weather to plant a tree. But the farmer knows, you plant in rain, in cold, in uncertainty. Because growth doesn't depend on ideal conditions, it depends on action. Marcus Aurelius didn't wait for inspiration to rule Rome. He ruled anyway. His greatness wasn't born from emotion. It was built through consistent, rational action. And that's what you must do. Don't wait for the mood to strike. Start, even if you don't want to. Wake up earlier. Train tired. Study late. Write when you feel uninspired. These aren't acts of heroism. They're acts of commitment. And every time you do what you said you'd do, regardless of how you feel, you train your brain to trust you. That trust is the foundation of confidence. So write in the comments, "I act, even when I don't feel like it." Because the moment you choose action over emotion, you shift from passenger to pilot, from reaction to leadership. And that's when you stop surviving and start living with intention. Lesson 12. Live according to your values, not others' expectations. Have you ever noticed how much energy you waste trying to meet expectations that don't belong to you? You carry the weight of what others think you should be, while neglecting who you truly are. But your value doesn't lie in fulfilling others' scripts. It lies in honoring your own. The Stoics lived by principles, not popularity. They acted with justice, wisdom, courage, and temperance, even when no one saw. They didn't perform, they practiced. and that practice made them unshakable. You don't need to impress anyone. You need to be true to yourself, because authenticity doesn't need permission, it needs courage. So ask yourself, am I living for me or for the image I think others expect? And if you're honest, you'll realize, living for others drains you. Living for yourself energizes you. Every yes spoken out of obligation, when you wanted to say no, costs your peace. Every suppressed desire steals a piece of your spirit, and every attempt to fit in, at the cost of your truth, leaves you hollow. So make this pact: I will live by my values, not by others' standards. Let your actions reflect what you believe, not what you think others want. Because in the end, your reputation means nothing compared to your integrity. And your integrity, that quiet alignment between word and deed, is what protects you from regret. So write in the comments, I live by my values, even when no one applauds, because the only approval you truly need is your own.